Hello and good afternoon to everyone joining us and watching online. Your guests, partners, friends and advocates of women's empowerment, a very warm welcome to this UN Women 2021 Asia-Pacific WEPs Awards Regional Ceremony. My name is Pachori Raksawong and I'm extremely honored to be here for the second year as your host for today's prestigious award ceremony. Now, the WEPs Awards is the only regional awards initiative that recognizes private sector action for gender equality aligned to the women's empowerment principles. After celebrating national ceremonies in 7 countries and receiving more than 700 applications from 20 Asia-Pacific countries, today is the final culminating event to reveal the region's top business champions for gender equality. Now, the WEPs Awards is the signature annual event of WeEmpowerAsia, a UN Women program funded by and in partnership with the European Union. Without this generous support, we could not be here today. This year, the awards also have the support and official partnership of Investing in Women, an initiative of the Australian government, which you will hear more about later on. And before we begin, I would like to call your attention to a few housekeeping rules. First, please kindly keep your mute unless you are invited to speak, and also please be respectful to all speakers and other participants. If you could also kindly check your name here on Zoom, ensuring that it is correct. We also appreciate it if you could add in the organization you represent in the name there. And should you need further assistance, our technical team will provide instructions in the chat. Please do note that this meeting is being recorded by the organizers. And lastly, feel free to enter your comments and questions in the chat, keeping in mind to be respectful and constructive. Thank you so much for taking note of all those housekeeping rules. And now I am delighted to let you know that we have an exciting 2 hours ahead of us with a mix of keynote speeches. We've got panels, breakout room discussions, and the highlight of the day, the announcement of our 2021 regional winners. So let's get started. To officially welcome you all here to the ceremony and to introduce the UN Women program behind the WEPs Awards, I'd like to invite Ms. Katia Freival, the Regional Program Manager of WeEmpowerAsia, to tell us a bit more about why we're here today. Over to you, Katia.
Thank you, Kun Pachori, and we're delighted to have you with us for the second year today. And a very warm welcome to everyone joining us today. Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends of gender equality partners, thank you for being with us today. And I'm thrilled that we are all together today, even though it's only virtually, but we are together. We are celebrating the second Asia-Pacific WEPs Awards. And when we've launched the awards last year in 2020, honestly speaking, we didn't know how successful this would be. Are we going to generate traction with the business communities? And is this a capable initiative for being a regional featured initiative? And here we are today. And as Kun Pachori said already, we received over 700 applications this year. This is nearly double the number from last year. For more than 480 companies in 20 countries in Asia-Pacific. I think that's truly inspiring, and I think a little pause for applause, even if it's a virtual one. Really, thank you so much. What an exciting start of this. But before I tell you a little bit more on what brought us here and how we got to this event, this regional ceremony today, I would like to hear from everyone who's with us today. And I know it takes a little bit of time, but I really please would ask you, very simply join us on Menti, menti.com. You see the code on the screen. You can also just simply scan the QR code, and we have 3 very simple questions to you. The first 2 ones, we obviously want to know from where are you joining us today and from what sector are you joining us today. So if you would please just try again to get to menti.com. I'm seeing all experts after such a long time of online meetings. I think people are very firm with that. Once you've gone through the first 2 questions, I would like you to pause a little bit and reflect back the last 12 months till today, looking at your own organizations. If you think about business and gender equality, what has changed? What have you seen happening in your organization or around you? Maybe a new policy that has been implemented, your company setting a target on gender equality, maybe a new female CEO joining you, anything what you have seen shifting over the past 12 months, which we know haven't been easy for all of us. Anything what comes to your mind, any challenges that you've seen evolving. We definitely have seen, and we're going to be hearing more about this. A lot of action took place, in fact, over the past 12 months, and we will be hearing from many of the companies who will be sharing that. Just looking to our technical colleagues, yes, we see things coming up here. Great. Active audience, more opportunity, inclusion, productivity, women empowerment. Great, and we have done this last year, so we're going to be looking at some of the changes in here. Great to see this. Women in leadership, yes, we have seen more of this, and we will be hearing more of that. And we keep this open for a little bit, and we will be sharing this after the event, so for you to have also a bit of a reference and seeing what's ongoing in our region. But let me give you a little bit of context why we are here today or what brought us together. And I think one of the key things, obviously, is a joint desire to advance women's economic empowerment in business. And the program that really embodies this and has this as the core of its mission is WeEmpowerAsia. And as we heard, it's a joint program between UN Women in partnership and funded by the European Union, which is really aiming to increase the number of women who lead and participate in business across these 7 countries here that you can see. And we will be hearing from awardees, participants, judges, etc., out of these 7 countries today as well. And one of the key elements the program really uses as really driving that action forward in the world of business are the women's empowerment principles. I think by now, probably a lot of experts in the room, but just a little bit of a reminder, the women's empowerment principles are already 11 years old. They were launched 11 years ago together with UN Women and UN Global Compact. And over the past 2.5 years, what have we been seeing since we implemented WeEmpowerAsia here in Asia and the Pacific, and particularly in the 7 countries? The number of committed companies joining us in that community of the women's empowerment principles has almost tripled. We are almost at 1,700 signatories in the region, and it's growing day by day. And this is a huge success, and thanks to WeEmpowerAsia and thanks to the commitment of the companies that we are celebrating today. And as you see, the Women's Empowerment Principles is a framework of 7 principles that help companies to really advance their action across their whole value chains. And that's also how we've structured our WEPs Awards. The way how we recognize good practices and action is really mirroring the women's empowerment principles. And while the first 4 categories, so we have in total 4 categories that we had last year already, 1 for leadership commitment, 1 for gender inclusive workplaces, 1 for gender inclusive marketplaces, community commitment, and I want to draw attention to 3 special categories. 1 is on transparency and accountability, really important to see movements here. 1 is on SME champions. We've seen a lot of SMEs joining this year's awards, so we really want to recognize them as well. And in a year where generation equality came to us really highlights, we are also celebrating youth leadership in our region. And just a quick reminder to everyone, we are not celebrating companies or businesses in their entire operations, but we are really awarding companies for their good practices and the steps they're taking in these different categories. And we saw really a diverse pool of application this year. 50% came from our existing WEPs community, but half of the applications, new companies joining us, many from the SME sector, from that sector that is the heartbeat of Asia's economy. We also saw a lot of applications coming really from national companies, while last year we had still a lot of multinationals as well. So we really diversified. And that's really great. And we saw also many companies joining at different stages, some really coming with very bold actions, some very early stages. And that's the spirit that brings the WEPs community together to learn from each other, no matter at what stage you are. And I would like to close my remarks by really emphasizing the catalyzing effect that the WEPs Awards have on partnership and the power of partnerships. You will hear from so many people today who were participating in the whole process. Today is just the end moment, but I think the big success is actually the process. I would love to thank everyone here, but I don't have time for that. But I really would want to highlight and give a big thank you to the initiative called Investing in Women, which is an initiative from the Australian government supporting gender equality and women's economic empowerment in Southeast Asia. We are grateful for that collaboration, not only in the awards, but we are grateful for the collaboration throughout the last 2.5 years. But it's these partnerships that will enable the WEPs Award to become really an institution in the region and really further advance gender equality in the world of business. I wish to thank everyone who took the time to apply, everyone who joined the WEPs community very newly, and everyone who's committed to take the first step to be part of the WEPs community moving forward. I also want to say a warm felt congratulations already to everyone who participated, and especially obviously the winners and awardees. And with that, I hope we're gonna be enjoying the ceremony as we did last year and have a lot of enjoyment. And listen, I'm sure it's gonna be entertaining for everyone. Thank you very much. And back to you, Kun Patri.
Thank you very much to you, Katia, for sharing with us the essential background information regarding the WEPs Awards. And as we have just heard, the commitment and support of the European Union is the main reason we are able to organize the WEPs Awards. And it is now my great honor to introduce a very distinguished guest to deliver a keynote speech, His Excellency Mr. David Daly, Ambassador of the European Union to Thailand. Your Excellency, Mr. Daly, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Kun Pachari. Excellencies, Assistant Secretary Sarah Goulding, Sarah Nibs, Officer in charge of the UN Regional Office, Women's Regional Office, distinguished speakers, guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start by congratulating the UN Women for organizing today's important event, the second regional ceremony for the Women's Empowerment Principles Award in Asia and the Pacific. The European Union is proud to be a strong partner and supporter of this initiative. We are very pleased to cooperate with Australia on these awards, and I welcome very much the participation of Assistant Secretary Sarah Goulding this afternoon. It's encouraging to hear about the hundreds of companies who applied for the 2021 WEPs Award, and to see so many companies and leaders here today showcasing solutions and best practices to advance gender equality. In the European Union, women's participation in the labour market is at an all-time high. Women are graduating from university at higher rates than men, which is also the case, I understand, in many countries here in Asia. But there is no room for complacency, not in the EU, not in Asia, not anywhere. At home and in the EU and here in Asia, the gender gaps remain. And analysis show that if we keep the current pace of progress, it will take 165 years in East Asia and the Pacific and 195 years in South Asia to close the gaps between women and men, to ensure everyone has equal opportunities in all parts of society. Clearly, we cannot wait this long. I would like to share with you all here today 3 points for reflection, 3 points that we should all take into consideration in terms of trying to pick up the pace to close these gaps much faster than these estimates. Firstly, never underestimate the power of leading by example. This is not just a motto which the EU shares, but this is one of the key pillars of the EU Action Plan for Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment in the external actions of the European Union. We work hard to keep improving policies and legislation back at home. For example, the European Commission has proposed earlier this year a new directive with binding pay transparency standards and enforcement mechanisms to make it impossible to hide pay gaps between women and men, and to provide mechanisms for compensation and redress. The EU also wants to lead by example through our own institutions, including by establishing gender-responsive and gender-balanced leadership at top political and management levels. And we are making progress on this, but again, not enough. For more, each government, each company, each civil society organization takes the lead with a strong public stance for gender equality. The more that this is done, the easier and faster it will be to change attitudes and stereotypes, to encourage women to be part of decision-making and leadership, and to support women who want to work or start their own businesses. My second point relates to the interconnectedness of our societies today, especially through value and supply chains that span the globe. More and more consumers and citizens, especially for us at home in the EU, demanded the respect of human rights, sustainable development, labor rights, environmental protection for the goods that they buy. This is a legislative issue, but it is also a marketplace issue. And EU consumers are very quick to react in the marketplace. Our action and leadership cannot stop at our own organizations or our own borders. We all must look across our supply chains and across our partners and affect change wherever we can to demand accountability and full respect of labor rights and social protections. The EU has developed a trade policy based on values. In our trade agreements, for example, including provisions on labor, environment, and human rights is a fundamental requirement for us. And I encourage all companies and entrepreneurs here today to procure goods and services with a gender-responsive and a gender-sensitive approach. Thirdly, we must all act together with a holistic approach to overcome the complex issue of gender equalities. No one here can solve the gender gap by themselves. We need a global approach. We need multilateralism and an approach that involves the entire ecosystem of our societies. All stakeholders must act on their strengths and spheres of influence. Private sector and their own corporate and workplace policies, investors, civil society and industry associations all must improve their strategies, their accountability, and their support for entrepreneurs and employees in relation to these gender issues. So too must governments in terms of enhancing public policy and developing legislation. We must all do our part and implement actions, not just take commitments. And these must be done in order to achieve a world where women and men have the same opportunities in all aspects of life. UN Women is providing a great platform to bring all stakeholders together to exchange on what type of solutions work and what lessons can be learned along the way. Today's event is a great opportunity to hear directly from industry leaders and innovators about the concrete actions and policies they put in place that empower women in their workplace or through their business. The women's empowerment principles are a great tool for any company, or also any employee who wants to make a change, but who does not know where to start. For the EU, gender equality is and will remain a priority, and this is included as such in our new EU strategy for cooperation in the Indo-Pacific. Working as hard as we can to achieve gender equality is not only the right thing to do, it is also the smart thing to do, socially as well as economically. I look forward to discovering who are the winners of the 2021 WEPs Awards for Asia and Pacific, and I encourage all participants here in this virtual room and the viewers online to be inspired to take action in your own workplaces, action for gender equality. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Excellency, for your support and presence with us today. We truly appreciate it. And now to dive a bit deeper into how commitments by the EU and other partners work at the practical level to drive gender-inclusive business, we now have a very special fireside discussion titled The Business of Gender Equality, a conversation about why it matters to everyone. Now, this discussion features Mr. Petros Soumeilis, head of the Trade and Economics section of the European Union delegation to Thailand. We're also going to be hearing from Sarah Golding, the Assistant Secretary, Gender Equality Branch of the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFAT. And this session will be moderated by Sarah Nibbs, Officer in charge of the UN Women Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. Over to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Kun Pachari. Excellency Ambassador Daly, distinguished guests joining me in this discussion, and everyone joining online, I do wish you a very warm welcome. I'm really proud to be here at this event, dedicated to recognizing and showcasing the committed and innovative actions that private sector organizations around our region are taking to ensure that women are empowered in the workplace, the marketplace, and in their communities. We're all aware that the impacts of COVID-19 do pose a particularly heightened risk to the hard-won gains made in women's economic empowerment in Asia-Pacific. The private sector has a really unique role and responsibility to include and empower women across their value chains to drive the creation of more resilient and inclusive economies as we move forward from this time. But supporting the private sector to fulfill this responsibility cannot happen without the generous support of our partners, who bring unique expertise and support diverse actions to mobilize both private and public sector action together. This is why I'm really pleased this afternoon that we have with us two different perspectives on creating women's economic empowerment, bringing the development perspective from DFAT together with a global trade perspective from the EU, so that we can have a candid conversation on how marrying both gives us an opportunity to advance gender equality and build a more inclusive economy for all. And with that, I would like to turn first to Petros. So Petros, we've just heard from Ambassador Daly about the EU's long-standing and deep support of gender equality around the world. Could you tell us a little bit more about why the EU sees business and also trade as a vehicle to achieve gender equality and women's empowerment?
Yes, good afternoon and good morning to all. And thank you very much for having me also in this fireside chat on the matter that we are discussing this afternoon. And I don't need to repeat, of course, that gender equality and women's economic empowerment is a top priority for the Commission. You have already heard that just a moment ago from Ambassador Daly. Now, to answer your question, first on the business side and then on the trade policy side. I mean, on the business side, our bottom line is that no economic growth is sustainable if it does not allow half of the population to participate in their full potential. Starting from a sort of micro-level business perspective, it makes, of course, fully sense for companies to invest in ensuring equal treatment and providing for equal opportunities between women and men. Indeed, studies that we have conducted show that business with strong gender equality policies in place are more productive and profitable. And in fact, it's not only businesses that benefit from the participation of women, but also women that benefit from their participation in trade, as trade has proved to be an essential vehicle that helped improving the living standards of billions of individuals. Now, going a bit further, trade is also believed to be an emancipating and empowering factor for women. And here again, we have an EU study that shows that women working in export-oriented firms in the EU enjoy a salary which is on average 13% higher compared to women workers in the whole economy. This being said, trade also can pose challenges that are affecting women more than men. And this obviously needs to be addressed. The disruption that we have seen of the global supply chains caused by the pandemic has exacerbated the vulnerabilities of women in trade, which already existed in normal times when, for instance, they were facing disproportionate barriers linked, among other things, to unpaid care. So while women have been very heavily affected by the pandemic, one should now again leave no room for complacency and should not move away from sustainability and gender equity to rebuild our economies, seeking short-term gains instead of looking at the perspective of economic recovery from the gender lens. Now, moving quickly to trade policy, in combination with other policy areas in the EU, we believe that it has to ensure that it promotes and supports women in reaping the benefits created by the external trade. And it is against this background that in the EU, we are using our trade policy to promote gender equality through a number of different channels. At the WTO level, we have been very actively engaged in the implementation of the Buenos Aires Declaration on Trade and Gender, driven by the informal working group on trade and gender established last year. And we are currently working on a ministerial declaration on women and trade for the 12th Ministerial Conference of the WTO that will start on the 29th of November, to which, by the way, Australia is also strongly committed and working very closely with us. Then at the bilateral level, our agreements include the Trade and Sustainable Development chapter, which provides key provisions related to gender, notably the prohibition to discriminate on the basis of gender at the workplace and the prohibition to lower related standards in order to attract trade and investment. We have very recently negotiated dedicated provisions on trade and gender with Chile as part of the modernization of our association agreement with Chile. And we plan to introduce dedicated trade and gender provisions in all our future trade agreements. And finally, at unilateral level, the EU's generalized scheme of preferences requires that all beneficiary countries respect the principles of the UN Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. So as you can see, we try really to have a very holistic approach to addressing the issue of gender in our trade policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Petros. I would like to turn now to Sarah Golding from DFAT. So DFAT is also a committed funder and partner of gender equality. And this year, UN Women has had the great pleasure of partnering on the WEPs Awards with DFAT's Investing in Women initiative. So Sarah, can you tell us a little bit more about investing in women, about how it links to the WEPs, and why Australia sees investing in women's economic empowerment as a priority?
I can indeed. Thank you so much, Sarah. And I'd just like to begin by saying how very pleased we are to be alongside the European Commission supporting this important work done by UN Women. I'd just like to begin by doing what is customary in Australia, which is an acknowledgement of Indigenous country. I'm joining you from the land of the Ngunnawal people, and I'll just say an acknowledgement in language. Duara Nuna, Duara Nunawal, Yangu Nalawiri Dunimanyan, Nunawalwari, Duaruwari, Ningira, Dindi, Wangyirali Jinyan. One of the things that I can say to you is that we're a really proud supporter of UN Women. We're a top 5 donor, and we really recognise as a country in Southeast Asia, with countries in Southeast Asia, the importance of investing in women's economic empowerment and gender equality as a powerful driver for economic growth. What we've seen in this pandemic over this last period of time has been an incredible series of shocks. And in particular, when we've looked at the disproportionate impacts on women, we can see how fragile some of the hard-won gender equality gains might be. And when you look at it from the frame of the economy, you know, it's some of the sectors that have been hardest hit that are the ones where women entrepreneurs have been most dynamic and had the biggest opportunities. Women in the workforce have had the biggest opportunities. So it is so important to be celebrating the achievements of women entrepreneurs at this point, after everything that every one of the entrepreneurs in Southeast Asia have been through to weather this storm of these very challenging times. The Investing in Women program, I'm so proud to be able to speak to you about that. It's a long-running flagship program that's designed to catalyse women's economic opportunities in countries in Southeast Asia, and it has been very active in responding to COVID-19. One of the key ways it's worked, and you saw the video at the start, was through the establishment of business coalitions in Indonesia, in the Philippines, Vietnam, and Myanmar. And what they've done is they've worked as a collective with other businesses to look at how they could work as serious senior business leaders to improve gender equality in their workplaces, in their businesses, in their value chains, and then share that with the wider business community, and using a range of data-driven tools and services to really understand what can drive a better bottom line and more equal workplaces in their countries. And now we have almost 100 member companies employing close to 1 million staff across Southeast Asia, part of that network, with a shared common goal, which is one that's shared with UN Women and the European Commission and many other governments, to promote gender equal workplaces. With the UN Women's Empowerment Principles, it's a great tool for companies to use as a starting point to make a commitment to workplace gender equality. It's really readily accessible, and we enjoy promoting it because it's been so widely used and catalytic around the world, providing companies with an early insight and also opportunities to think how they as a business, regardless of what sector they're in, can promote workplace gender equality. And with the Investing in Women business coalitions, there's a really thorough and detailed tailored workplace gender equality assessment that actually draws on some of the tools that we use here in Australia from our Workplace Gender Equality Agency, where you understand the strengths and weaknesses of current practices and identify what you can do that's got the highest impact on a journey to promote gender equality. One of the things that we've learned here is that reporting requirements and a level of public transparency can actually be very helpful in driving workplace reforms. And in the countries where Investing in Women's works, you know, these business coalitions are exploring this, but in the absence of a strong reporting requirement culture. So one of the things we've been proud to do with UN Women through the Investing in Women program is to advocate for mandatory reporting on key measures of gender equality in the region, to highlight where more action's needed and to encourage companies to improve their performance. What this does by giving transparency is it becomes good for business, but it's also good for consumers. It's good for investors, and it's good for potential employees who want to look at a company and go, are you committed to gender equality? And one of the ways companies can do this is through integrating gender into sustainability reporting. It's really helpful for policymakers to be able to track progress over time. I'm really proud as Australia that we've been able to partner with UN Women in the WEPs Awards to showcase best practice that's happening here in countries in Southeast Asia, led by so many very dynamic and exciting business leaders, and to share approaches that can be replicated in the private sector that are very much context driven. And I'm really pleased to see 6 Business Coalition member companies being recognised in the national awards this year. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you all in this fireside chat.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Petros, for really illuminating some of the necessary actions connecting the macro and the micro level in order to contribute to creating a more gender equal world. On that note, 2 of the very special awards tonight will go to youth leaders and SME champions. And in the spirit of highlighting these awards and giving a platform for these voices to engage with our distinguished speakers, we have 2 very special video questions that have come in from our national awardees. Our first question comes from Kanika Ahuja, CEO of Conserve India, the national first runner-up in India for the Youth Leadership Award, who has a question for Mr. Somelis.
Hello, I am Kanika Ahuja, CEO of a social enterprise, Conserve India and Lifafa. Our organization has created proprietary technologies to upcycle plastics and textile waste to create fashion accessories. We empower grassroots communities, waste workers, artisans, and refugees to use these technologies to convert waste to value and generate sustainable livelihoods. Our products are then exported globally through fair trade supply chain. I would like to ask you today, in an effort to build inclusive value and trade chains, what needs to be done to ensure that enterprises focused on sustainability and gender equality can become part of and access international supply chains?
Yes, thank you very much, Kanita, for this question. A very relevant one, and indeed the enterprises focusing on sustainability and gender equality do often face barriers in integrating fully the international supply chains. Now, those barriers are due to a number of factors which are not directly related to trade. One of them is the factor of size. Those companies tend to be smaller in terms of turnover and number of employees, and this drives certain patterns of inequality. Because of size, the women-led companies are sometimes disadvantaged, for example, in accessing public procurement markets, expanding trade through private standards, and dealing with non-tariff measures. For example, it's implementing labeling requirement, rules of origin, and product certification becomes costlier because due to the higher incidence per transaction and less internal resources to deal with them. Other challenges relate to access to skills, to access to funding from commercial banks and business networks. But there are good news also on that front, and the good news essentially come from the marketplace. Sustainability is becoming a very robust sales argument, opening doors to more business opportunities and to an increased participation in the value chains. As policies and legislations in the field of sustainability multiply across the globe, citizens are lending more attention to it, including in their consumption habits. And we see this very strongly in the EU. Hence, we believe that these enterprises focused on sustainability and gender equality should better capitalize on their gender added value to enter into business partnerships in the regional and global supply chains. And in this respect, one very promising sector appears to be the digital economy. We have conducted in the framework of our EU-funded Digital to Equal program, a large-scale research on women and e-commerce in Southeast Asia, which shows the extent of women's participation in e-commerce and how online platforms can benefit women business owners. Most notably, the report finds that if the gap in sales between female and male vendors could be closed by 2025, an additional $280 billion would be added to the value of the Southeast Asian e-commerce market. So digitalization should be seen as one of the vehicles to promote a full economic integration of women, supporting innovative solutions to improve access to finance and address discriminatory practices, ensuring access to knowledge, skills, and capacities. And thank you again for your question, Kanita.
Thank you so much, Petros. Next, we have a question that was submitted for Sarah Golding. This one comes to us from Grace David, who is the CEO of Educacion.ph, and that's the winner of the SME Champion Award in the Philippines.
Hi, I'm Grace David, currently the CEO of Educacion.ph. We are the leading EdTech online platform in the Philippines with a base of over 8 million Filipino youth and counting. Our mission is to empower millions of Filipino learners to make self-aware decisions for education and their careers. We recently launched Yaring Pinay. It's a gender toolkit which promotes gender diversity, inclusion, and equality in both schools and workplaces. We would like to bring more women into the workforce and achieving their full potential. Our question is actually in line with the efforts that we've been also doing here in the Philippines. How can we make sure that our young women also aspire to have the opportunity to enter the non-traditional sector and roles, most especially in the technical vocational industry?
Grace, thank you so much for that question. And I'd just like to really begin by giving you a massive shout out and congratulate you on what you've done with all of the work in EdTech. I couldn't begin to think of a more critical tool led by entrepreneurs for what we've experienced right now, with all of the requirement to just go straight to digital for education services. And I'd really like to congratulate you also on the Yaring Pinay campaign. You know, you asked about what we can do to ensure young women enter the workforce, and we challenge stereotypes as we do that and have the opportunities to advance up the ladder, particularly in non-traditional sectors. And I guess there's one thing I'd just really like to say, and it's a message to leave you with. But it's something I'm pretty confident that you already know, and that is that you can't be what you can't see. It's really, really important to be able to demonstrate and highlight and showcase the experience of women who have moved into non-traditional sectors, who are part of the workforce and making it work well for them and their careers and their families, and are in non-traditional areas such as STEM and tech and, you know, construction and infrastructure and investment and all of the spaces where it might seem like it's not been a place that's been considered traditionally a woman's role, because we know, we know women can be successful in many careers. And it's the traditional perceptions that we hold ourselves. It's our own sense of agency. It's the perceptions in the community and in educational institutions that shapes our own thinking around what's possible. And sometimes we just come to feel ourselves that jobs are mostly available or suited for men or for women. So I think that what you're doing with the Yaring Pinai campaign is exactly what needs to happen. We do need to really share these new images of women and men in non-traditional roles to shatter some of those stereotypes. But we also need to have the conversations with educational institutions and encourage them, not just in the curriculum that they're delivering, but also in the marketing and advertising that they're using about how to attract students to think and check what messages it is that they're sending. And we also need to have a look at workplaces that embrace women and men that are in non-traditional career paths. Because what we do know, and what I think you know, is that diverse teams, different voices, different perspectives around the table actually deliver more innovation and actually provide companies with a competitive advantage. So it's from the very start of things. It's from how you frame a job advertisement as a company. It's how you think about internal recruitment policies and practices, to what sort of incentives you provide to keep and promote and talent manage your team. And within that, to just check where is a conscious bias and where might there be some unspoken, unconscious biases that influence our decision-making about who's getting the right career, who's getting the high-profile career opportunities, and who's being looked over time and time again. And to look at how we can change that in job segmentation by actively promoting non-traditional roles, challenge the gender stereotypes, and be clear about what's considered appropriate and inappropriate. The workplace is a really exciting and important place for reforms. Educational institutions are also really critical places for reforms. But neither of those two things are enough. We do have to do what you've done, which is to reach out into the broader community. We know that there are generations of younger men who are looking at their responsibilities in the home, particularly over the last 2 years, and asking themselves, what can I do to be a good father and an equal partner in my family and in my career? And a survey that Investing in Women did during COVID-19 showed that couples who actually shared responsibility to a level for unpaid care work and for wage earning were actually less stressed than those who didn't share. When men take on an equal share of unpaid care, it helps women's careers and it helps men's too. Governments have got a role to play supporting women's careers by ensuring families can have access to high quality, affordable childcare. These are shifts that are starting to happen. Your campaign, Yaring Pinai, the work that you're doing with your company are all part of the shifts that are starting to happen. And I'm just so very proud of the work that you've been able to do. Congratulations, and thank you for the question.
These were such excellent questions, and I'm very grateful for the really insightful and inspiring answers. There's so much that we could talk about. I wish we could go on longer, but I know that the audience is eagerly awaiting the announcement of the awardees. So I would like to give my warm thanks to Mr. Someles and Ms. Golding for joining us. We're really grateful that you gave us your time. And of course, we're very grateful for the generous funding commitments of both EU and Australia, which make it possible for us to be here doing this activity today. With that, I would like to just, in advance, congratulate all the awardees we'll be hearing from soon, and to wish everyone a great ceremony. Back to you, Kun Pachari.
Thank you, Sarah. And once again, thank you to our distinguished guests for taking the time to join us and sharing their insights with everyone. And before we move to the awarding portion of the day, there are a few other people we would like to officially acknowledge and thank them. And they are the esteemed panel of experts who joined as regional judges and committed significant time to review and score the applications. I would now like to welcome Ms. Amy Baum, International Consultant for Women's Economic Empowerment with WeEmpowerAsia, to introduce our distinguished panel and welcome a few judges to share their reflections. Over to you, Amy.
Thank you, Kumpatri, very much, and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us. I know we are a bit behind time and everyone is waiting for the big reveal, but as Patri said, none of this could also be possible without our panel of judges. And in total, across our national countries and the regional level, we had 50 gender experts mobilized to join us in this endeavor. And I'd like to introduce you today to the 13 esteemed members of our regional judging panel who joined us. They come from a very diverse variety of sectors. We have Jeremy Prepsius with BSR, Freddie Gayakan with the ILO, Samantha Hung joining us from ADB, our first 3 judges, all friends of the program. And our next 3 judges, we had a big panel this year. There was a hefty job that they had. Maya Juwita and Boots Garcia, both joining us from business coalitions with Investing in Women. Ko Miawi joining us from the UNDP Bangkok Regional Hub. And our next set, we have Louise Marquez joining from Value for Women, Chai Chai with the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for the Asia-Pacific, Shomi Chaudhary, who joins us as a special youth judge this year. And our final 4 of the panel, we were quite lucky this year to have so many wonderful experts joining us, is Ellie Horrocks with UNDP's Youth CoLab program, Minnie Venkatachalam, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing, joining us from WeConnect, Neha Das with UN Global Compact, who co-convenes the WEPs with UN Women, and Vicky Singman joining us from the Canadian Mission to ASEAN. So this is our fantastic regional judging panel, and they did have a very difficult task this year. As you've heard, we had more than 700 applications, and the caliber was absolutely incredible. We saw them across varieties of different sector and also sizes, all kinds of companies that applied this year. And so as our judges each year take on the heavy task of scoring all the applications, going through and providing feedback, we wanted to share a few of their reflections with you. So sharing their thoughts on being part of the panel, also seeing progressive actions that our companies are taking and also areas where they could improve. So we have a few special video messages for you. And we're first going to hear from Neha Das, Senior Manager of Global Operations in Asia and Oceania with UN Global Compact.
The UN Global Compact and UN Women joined forces over a decade ago to launch the Women's Empowerment Principles, the WEPs. With the commitment of over 5,600 businesses now, the WEPs have made considerable progress in these years, as is evident from the high caliber applicants that have come in for this year's WEPs Asia-Pacific Awards. The opportunity to judge the WEPs Awards gave me first-hand insight into how the private sector, whether multinational or locally based, is increasingly committed to incorporate WEPs at the core of their corporate strategies. So many applicants had incredibly innovative approaches to raise awareness around gender equality within the local communities, despite social, cultural, and economic challenges. Their investment in educating, upskilling, and empowering women was exemplary. Company policies that allowed for women and men to balance families, health, and work, despite the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, raised the bar on gender inclusivity at workplace. I'm confident that all these applicants and awardees will serve as a role model for others to follow suit, not only in Asia, but around the world, so that we do not have to wait for 257 years to close the economic gender gap. I congratulate all the winners and my best wishes to all the applicants this year. I also want to thank UN Women for organizing this inspiring award ceremony and giving an opportunity to these companies and leaders to share their work with us. Thank you and best wishes.
Thank you, Neha. And we'll next hear from another first-time judge we're very happy to have joining us this year, Ms. Vicky Sigmund, the political counselor at Canada's mission to ASEAN.
Hello, my name is Vicky Sigmund. I'm the political counselor at Canada's mission to ASEAN. I'm so pleased to have been a part of the 2021 Women's Empowerment Principles Awards to recognize the efforts by businesses in Southeast Asia to embrace the Women's Empowerment Principles. As a first-time judge, let me share a few reflections about my experience. It was very rewarding to see so many companies and individuals with a clear passion for advancing women's empowerment. One frequent challenge identified was the burden of unpaid care work. The need to address this issue resonates with Canada, as earlier this year, Prime Minister Trudeau announced $100 million for low and middle income countries to help increase women's ability to participate in the economy, in education, and in public life. Addressing this key issue is just one piece of Canada's efforts to advance gender equality and women's empowerment through our feminist foreign policy and our feminist international assistance policy. In the WEPs applications, actions taken to address this issue varied, with some companies investing in digital solutions to facilitate more flexible work arrangements to enable women to continue to work. Other companies look to remove the gender bias from paid parental leave and also engage governments to advocate for an equal sharing of domestic obligations. As I read about companies from a range of sectors and sizes embracing the women's empowerment principles, I saw companies understanding that investment in women's empowerment can have a multiplier effect across sectors. One company focused on financial inclusion of women entrepreneurs. The support provided increased access to finance for these women, but also supported them shifting to adopt climate-smart techniques, leading to more sustainable business models. Reflecting on these observations, it's clear that within the private sector, there exists the commitment to advance gender equality and women's empowerment. There is an understanding of the barriers to this goal, and there is a recognition that the private sector can play a leadership role in overcoming these barriers, both within their own companies and within the broader community.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. And we have one final video. Today, I'm very happy to be having joining back Louise Marquez, who joins for the second year as a judge and is an expert in gender equality in business as a senior gender advisor with the private sector with Value for Women. Over to you, Louise.
What I saw in the applications this year wasn't necessarily the fact that there was a solution, innovation, technology, or a silver bullet that was going to solve gender equality tomorrow. But rather, I saw a strong commitment from companies backed by the painstaking work of effecting change bit by bit with a strong commitment and multiple actions to back that commitment up. At Value for Women, we've supported hundreds of businesses over the last couple of years to apply a gender lens in their market, workforce, and value chains. And what we see is that the companies have different starting points and that work can be slow. But what we saw in top applicants this year is that they were taking on multiple actions that we have seen have worked with other companies. For example, they were creating spaces for employees to be able to discuss gender. They were then taking on the ideas that came out of these spaces to develop goals, targets, initiatives backed by strong commitment and incentives that permeate throughout the organization. Finally, they did the uncomfortable work of undergoing gender pay gap analyses and collecting and analyzing gender indicators that assess their own performance on their progress on gender. And not only did they do that, but then they published those results publicly, creating transparency and accountability with internal and external stakeholders. And this is really important because it helps solidify the actions across time. And that's one of the reasons why the new category this year on transparency and reporting is so important.
Thank you so much, Amy, and to all 13 judges who not only rigorously reviewed the applications, but also agreed to record videos, present awards, and moderate breakout rooms for the ceremony today. Let's give them a virtual round of applause. Once again, thank you. And now it's the very moment that we've all been waiting for. Without further ado, it's time to unveil the awardees. And to present the awards in our first two categories, I am happy to introduce a very special guest speaker from Investing in Women, the official partner of the 2021 WEPs Awards and custodian of the Gender Inclusive Workplace category, Ms. Amel Villanueva, Senior Workplace Gender Equality Advancement Manager.
Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, or good morning, wherever you're joining from. I am thrilled to be here presenting the first two awards of the ceremony. As you have heard, Investing in Women is the official partner for the WEPs Awards this year and the custodian of the Gender Inclusive Workplace category. We at Investing in Women, in partnership with the business coalitions in the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Myanmar, guide companies along their journey to assess their workplace gender equality status, create action plans, and implement a range of policies that can create real organizational and systemic change. Much of our in-depth work is done with HR and D&I teams. But we also know that infusing gender equality throughout an organization often depends on the first commitment being made by those in the highest positions of leadership. A global review recently undertaken by IW on the drivers for WGE shows that leadership commitment and accountability over time and at all levels of the organization is the single most important factor for achieving workplace gender equality. As Investing in Women's Senior Workplace Gender Equality Advancement Manager, I have seen firsthand the cooperation needed among management and staff to identify, design, and implement targeted interventions that realize the varied benefits of workplace gender equality. Business leaders are indispensable in setting a shared company vision, providing inspiration and mentorship, and being accountable for steering the organization to the fulfillment of WGE outcomes. So it is with great pleasure that I present the first award of the afternoon for leadership commitment, which recognizes business leaders aged 35 and over who act as public advocates for gender equality and have set strong corporate commitments inclusive of progressive policies, regulations, or practices that aim to promote gender equality in the workplace, marketplace, and/or community. Now it's time to announce the awardees who have demonstrated that gender equality can be achieved. The second runner-up for leadership commitment is Jennifer Buckley, founder and managing director of SWE Capital. The first runner-up for leadership commitment is Arshia Ahmad Saqib, vice president of human resources at Engro Fertilizers in Pakistan. And the winner of the 2021 WEPs Awards for leadership commitment is Divya Hegde, founder of Beyaru Environmental Services in India. Congratulations to our winners for leading the change for gender equality. I would now like to invite Divya to deliver her acceptance speech.
Hi, I'm Divya. I'm the founder of Beyaru Environmental Services. At Beyaru, we're committed to gender equality and women's empowerment principles because it's not just great for society, but it's fantastic for business. And I really believe the private sector needs to take many more genuine strides in shattering stereotypes and working towards gender equity, not just on paper, but in practice as well. At Beru, we strongly believe that environment justice and gender equality go hand in hand, and our initiative leverages waste management, education, and working towards a circular economy by enabling livelihoods for rural women. I'd like to thank the UN and its partners for recognizing us and giving us this platform to fight the good fight. Of course, my team that's always so passionate towards women's empowerment principles. My team and I are extremely humbled and feel encouraged by this award. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations once again. We now come to the category I personally find most exciting, gender inclusive workplace. This is one of the broadest categories covering 3 WEP principles, and it recognizes efforts in all workplaces, whether they are office buildings or factories, to ensure that women and men have equal opportunities to enter the workforce, stay in it, and advance to leadership positions. Our awardees have distinguished themselves through affirmative action. They instituted gender equal recruitment policies, childcare facilities or subsidies, pay gap audits that led to eradicating the gender pay gap within their organizations, and establishing mechanisms to create workplaces free of all forms of harassment. So we come to the exciting part, unveiling the winners who have created workplaces where both men and women can thrive. I am also excited to announce that this year, there were so many exemplary applications submitted for gender inclusive workplace that it was decided to showcase 2 second runner-ups. I am proud to announce that the first second runner-up for gender inclusive workplace is PricewaterhouseCoopers Information Technologies, Shanghai. Our second runner-up for gender inclusive workplace is L'Oreal, Indonesia. The first runner-up for gender inclusive workplace is NatWest Group, India. And the 2021 WEPs Awards champion for gender inclusive workplace is Intel Malaysia. Representing Intel Malaysia for their acceptance speech is AK Chong, Vice President, Manufacturing Supply Chain and Operations Managing Director, Intel Malaysia, and General Manager, System Integration and Manufacturing Services, Assembly Test Manufacturing, Intel Corporation. Welcome, AK.
Thank you, Amil. We are truly excited and honored to be receiving this award. And you know, Intel, we have a long-standing commitment to diversity and inclusion, and we believe that transparency is key. And our goal is to see our workforce representation, mirror the markets, communities, and customers we serve. So just as we apply our engineering mindset to create the world's leading technological innovation, we do the same with our Intel Rise 2030 inclusive goals and strategy, using data to inform our decision, just like what Sarah mentioned just now. And we share our objective transparently to drive clear accountability and deliver results across the company as well as industry. So based on our employee experience survey and feedback from women at Intel, we learned to understand their experiences and determine how to support them throughout their various life stages at Intel. So thanks to the effort, driven by our diversity and inclusion team at Intel Malaysia, we are committed to continuously enhance our inclusive workplace policy, practices, key initiatives together with the women itself. So thanks again, UN Women, for recognizing Intel Malaysia with this award. And we also like to congratulate to all the other winners. Thank you.
What a great start to the event. Thank you, Amel, and the Investing in Women team, and congratulations once again to all the winners. We move on now to the next set of awarding categories representing the move deeper down the value chain pillars of the WEPs. To announce our next 3 awards categories, I am proud to welcome a longtime friend of WeEmpowerAsia and member of the regional judging panel for the 2nd year now, Ms. Samantha Hung, Chief Gender Equality Thematic Group at the Asian Development Bank.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Kun Pachari. I'm really happy to be here for a 2nd year in a row at this inspiring event. And I'm really extend a warm welcome to everyone that's participating wherever you may be. So I have the honor to present the awards in 3 categories today. And I know everybody's very anxious, so let's just get started. The first award category I will be presenting is Gender Responsive Marketplace, which aligns with the WEPs 4 and 5, recognizing corporations championing a gender lens in their value chains, from supplier diversity, empowering women entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses through capacity development and market access opportunities, to gender inclusive marketing and advertising activities. So now, without further ado, it's time to announce the awardees. The second runner-up is IDLC Finance Limited, Bangladesh. The first runner-up is Dharma Life, an initiative of Gajam Private Limited, India. And the winner-up of the 2021 Gender Responsive Marketplace Award is Bio Manila. Anne-Marie Lagon, the CEO of Bio, happens to have a conflicting event at this time, unfortunately, but she kindly sent in a video recording for us. So over to you, Anna, and we'd love to hear you on the video.
On behalf of Bio, I express our utmost gratitude to you and women for this prestigious award. Our company is honored, and we share this pride with every Filipino. This recognition makes us strive even more in advocating the significance of women within and beyond our company. We celebrate the empowered woman every day, and Bio shall continue to stimulate the awareness of her strength and capability. In doing so, we can consistently provide a gender-responsive marketplace. Bio is providing clothes made with a purpose, championing women behind the scenes and the stories of women who wear them. Women empowerment happens when we allow pathways for other women to grow and achieve their highest potential. We all can become allies, advocating and supporting sustainable development across our networks. Combining the principles of women empowerment into our sustainability roadmap makes a perfect plan of action for us. With Bio Foundation, our corporate social responsibility arm, we breathe in values that sustain our transformation to become a platform for social good. Beyond making and selling clothes, we embrace a more significant responsibility in creating a better future for all. So once again, maraming salamat, mabuhay.
Thank you, Anna. What a fantastic initiative. I can't wait to hear more about it later. So we move on now to the award, the second category I will present, community engagement and partnerships. Now, this recognizes corporations that commit to and actively engage in promoting gender equality through community initiatives and leveraging the power of partnerships. And so we come to the exciting part. The second runner-up is Shell Companies in the Philippines. And the first runner-up is The Body Shop Indonesia. And the winner, most exciting part, of the 2021 Community Engagement and Partnerships category is the Very Group India. So to tell us more about the Very Group's award-winning initiative, thank you for the applause. To tell us more about the Very Group Awards winning initiative, we are joined today by Carly Billsborough, the head of CSR.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you very much for the award. It's really important to us to be recognised for the work we're doing. So thank you, UN Women, and congratulations to everybody else. At the Very Group, we strive to ensure gender equality throughout our operations in the UK and across our global supply chains. We want to inspire the next generation of women leaders and change makers and demonstrate to them that the Very Group and our supply chain partners are places that they can come to fulfil their ambitions. As a business, we're incredibly proud of our membership of the WEPs and the work we do in supply chains to support gender equality. Our programme in South India was set up to address concerns around working conditions in the textile industry, and we really recognise the importance of collaboration and community engagement in order to address these. So firstly, I want to say a big thank you to our partners, Next and Varna, without whom this project wouldn't have been possible. Through the programme, we run 6 community centres in South India, offering workers and their families access to training, support and advice. Alongside this, we also run an independent grievance mechanism, TIMBY, enabling people to raise concerns and access remedy through our network of partners. So far, our programme has reached over 25,000 people across 6 communities, supporting women to better understand their rights, build their confidence and develop new skills. The success of this project really wouldn't be possible without our amazing partners. So again, I want to say a huge thank you to Next and Varna, our retail partners, without whom this project just wouldn't be possible, particularly Prabhu, Vikram and Stephen, who've worked so hard in ensuring this project's success. Secondly, I want to thank SAVE, our local NGO partner, who have done such a great job finding amazing and passionate people to run our community centres and support local workers. Aloysius and Mary, this project wouldn't have been possible without you. And also Timby, our tech partner, we really appreciate everything you've done to support us. Lastly, I want to thank the team at Very, in particular Edna, who's led this project from the beginning, ensuring its continued success. This project really does showcase the power of partnerships and collaboration to affect change. So again, thank you women, UN Women, for recognising the project that we're doing and how important it is in the local communities.
Thank you very much, Carly, and congratulations once again. So now moving on to present my last category of the afternoon, which was new this year, transparency and reporting. And it's very important because we all know that what gets measured gets managed. Tracking performance and progress towards gender equality and women's economic empowerment is a core value of the WEPs, since it allows companies to uphold their commitments to gender equality in the workplace, marketplace, and community. Measurement, tracking, and reporting on gender-related indicators is absolutely necessary if we really want to advance gender equality in the private sector on a wider scale. And it is why UN Women felt this category was important to add for this year in the 2021 awards. So please join me to celebrate our transparency and reporting champions. The second runner-up is Electricity Generating Public Company Limited, or EGCO, Thailand. Congratulations. The first runner-up is Gojek Indonesia. And the winner for the first ever Transparency and Reporting Award is Biocon Limited India. Representing Biocon is Mr. Amitava Saha, President and Chief HR Officer of the Biocon Group, for the acceptance speech.
First and foremost, thank you, UN Women, for this wonderful award and recognition. It will go a very long way to encourage our people, our workforce, and everyone who has been involved in this good work. We have a long way to go, and this is just a beginning. For us, women empowerment or gender diversity are not initiatives. They're a way of life. They are interwoven into our culture, being led by one of the most iconic women leaders globally, Dr. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw. We have grown up as a company with the thought that our women leaders play a critical role in what we want to achieve. They bring in diversity of thought, they bring in innovation, and most importantly, they bring in a very, very harmonious workforce balance, create an environment which is truly attractive for people to come, to people to grow, and for people to get motivated to deliver more. However, Women empowerment, diversity, inclusivity, all of these cannot really grow and cannot be sustainable unless we have a very, very transparent process, a very strong reporting process in place. We need to constantly analyze, measure, and report on where we are versus where we want to go. So our focus on transparency and reporting has been from day one. And we believe that this has brought us to where we are today. And this would also help us to become one of the globally accepted best places to work in the days to come. Once again, thank you very much to the organizers and judges for bestowing this award to us. And we are very proud to receive it. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha, and congratulations. We now have 60 new awardees, but there's still more to come, and we have two very special awards coming up next. To introduce the first award recognizing SMEs who applied across the 5 main categories, I'd like to welcome another member of the regional judging panel, an esteemed expert of gender equality, Ms. Chai Chai, Chief of the Gender Equality and Social Inclusion Section at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific.
Thank you, Kun Pachari, and hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be part of the regional judge panel for this important initiative and join you here today to announce the 3 SME champions, a special award added this year for the first time. SMEs have always been eligible to be awarded in any category, and many do win. But UN Women wanted to ensure that the 2021 awards were fully inclusive of smaller organizations and provided an additional platform to highlight the vital contributions that SMEs are making to inclusive growth in the region. We know that SME account for 96% of all businesses in Asia and the Pacific, but have been hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic. As we seek to establish the new normal and build towards a more sustainable and inclusive regional economy, we must include, support, and champion the work of women entrepreneurs and SMEs that aim to empower women in the workplace, marketplace, and the community. With that, I now have the pleasure to announce the 3 regional SME champions exemplifying such good practices. The second runner-up for their application in the leadership commitment category is Julie Sandlo, Vietnam, awarded for the efforts of CEO Soren Road Peterson. Congratulations. The first runner-up is Albert Jamelo, awarded in the leadership commitment category to Aparna Bhatanagar Saxena, CEO. Congratulations also. And the winner is education.ph from the Philippines for their efforts in community engagement and partnership. Warm congratulations. I want to mention that education was invited to send in a video message while the judges were still completing their scoring. Now, it's my great pleasure to welcome back Grace David, CEO of education.ph, to deliver her acceptance speech.
Thank you so much. Mabuhay. It's actually our local greeting here in the Philippines, which means to live. But receiving this award, it feels like we're the ones receiving this greeting. Thank you so much to UN WEP team for recognizing our work and making sure that we are able to share this award to our partners and to the entire team. This award is a reflection of our values and commitment in education. We believe that gender equality should be practiced across all socio-economic segments. And that's exactly what we practiced in our project, Yaring Pinay. We encouraged Filipino women to pursue technical vocational careers because it's not gender specific. It's a career that is skills specific. We reached this far in our journey of empowering more Filipino women, all because we have partners who believed in our journey in this project and who also believed in us, education.ph. So together with this award, we want to say thank you. Thank you to Australian Aid. Thank you to Investing in Women. And thank you to the entire education team. We knew that the job is difficult, but the entire team, especially under the leadership of Pat Matias, Reg Agustin, believed that it could be done and powered on even if it was difficult. So to all our partners and fellow female leaders, mabuhay.
Congratulations to the 3 champions, and thank you very much, Chai Chai, for announcing the winners. We now move on to the last category of the day, and it is the 2021 WEPs Awards highlighted category, Youth Leadership. Now, this category is inspired by UN Women's Global Generation Equality Campaign, which was launched in 2020 to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, and has a strong focus on intergenerational and youth engagement to advance gender equality. Now, this category recognizes business owners, founders, managers, and regular employees under the age of 35 who actively support gender equality in private organizations such as startups, MSMEs, social enterprises, and larger corporates. In order to ensure that these efforts are nurtured and brought to scale, I am excited to announce that $10,000 has been allocated as grant money to the awardees, with $5,000 going to the winner and $2,500 going to the first and second runners-up. In addition, UN Women is bringing on board 3 highly experienced mentors with extensive networks in the region and around the globe to guide the youth leaders in their journey. And the mentors are Anurag Malu, Head of Partnerships in the Asia-Pacific at SeedStars. Also, Emil Schmitz, Managing Director at BOP Inc., Catherine Kirschenmann, founder at The Do. Following the ceremony, the youth leaders will be connected to the mentors to help bring their visions to life. And now I know everyone is waiting to find out who the winners are. To present this award, we are thrilled to have our very own youth judge from the regional panel, Ms. Shomi Chowdhury, who was nominated to the panel as a committed youth leader by the UN Women Bangladesh office. Among her many accolades, Shomi is a multi-award winning water, sanitation, hygiene or WASH activist from Bangladesh. Shomi is the co-founder of global youth-led organization Awareness 360, which empowers young people in 25 countries to do community service projects in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Shomi.
Hello, everyone. I am so pleased to be here today announcing the awardees of the Youth Leadership category. I was so pleased to be invited to join the judging panel this year, and the applications I read truly blew me away. It is a great pleasure to be here with you all. As an activist and youth entrepreneur myself, I know the challenges that youth can face in advocating for causes they believe in, but also the innovations and enthusiasm we bring that can spark movements and catalyze change. So without any further ado, it's time to announce the awardees. And any guesses? The second runner-up is Net Supatra Vanij, co-founder of ILA, an award-winning social enterprise that uses human-centered design solutions to trigger social change. ILA recently launched the Ally app, which trains key stakeholders and local businesses to become allies and support anyone who seeks a safe space or needs help escaping violence. Now it's time to announce the first runner-up, and the first runner-up is Tauhida Shiropa, founder and CEO of Monir Bondhu, a Bangladeshi mental health care and well-being platform that provides accessible and affordable mental health care to all who need it. Congratulations to both Supa Shravanij and Tauhida Shiropa. And now it's time to announce the winner. Drum rolls.
You did excellent.
And the winner of the 2021 WEPs Awards highlighted category for youth leadership is Cherry Atilano, founding farmer, CEO, and president of Agria Philippines. Please welcome Cherry to tell us more about Agria. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. This is the second year in a row. Last year, we were part of the COVID-19 response. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. I'm sorry. But this award is so timely, a strong validation of our work. Especially, I need to mention our Agria team in the farm school, Sonia, Mary Ann, Christine, Menchie, Michelle, and Jabel. If you observe, they're all female running our farm school because we feel that the sector that we're working needs to have a more nurturing. And to give you a context, the food sector is not only challenged by climate change, but this is a sector that is challenged by gender inequality and aging farmers. In Southeast Asia, in Asia-Pacific, we actually supply 75% of the food in the world. And most of those are supplied by smallholder farmers. However, in the contrary, they are aging. I call them endangered species. The average age of farmer is 60 years old, and the population in Asia is an average 22 years old. We are the home of 750 million strong youth in Asia-Pacific. And right now, I would like to say that despite all the challenges in the food systems, food is our umbilical cord to Mother Earth. This is the only way that we will recognize that gender and youth are great equalizer. Food issues are personal to me, serious, fundamental, and necessary. And lastly, for this recognition that we're doing in our farm school to reach far-flung communities in the Philippines and hopefully to expand in Southeast Asia by next year is a great reminder that we are not stopping because the youth are the now, the current, and the present. And they will shape the future that is both good and well for our people and planet. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Huge congratulations to the youth leaders. And with that, we have our 21 winners for this year, 2021, to celebrate the achievements of everyone here and to commemorate this momentous occasion. We would like to now take a group photo. So if you could all kindly switch on your cameras, please. So once again, inviting everybody joining us to turn on your cameras. Our technical team is going to help us do this, and we might need to take a few shots. So I'd like to kindly ask for everyone to hold their smiles for 5 to 10 seconds longer, please. So once again, cameras on, and give us your brightest and happiest smiles, please. Thank you so much for turning on your cameras and giving us that big smile, and that will be shared soon on our social media channels. Now we're going to move into the breakout room discussions to dive deeper into the categories and hear more from all of the category awardees. We've got 7 outbreak rooms today, 1 for each of the 6 categories and 1 for the SME champions. Now, if you registered on Zoom, you will be put into the breakout room that you selected at registration. If you would like to change rooms, just send a message to the technical support person in each room and they'll help you switch over. And for those of you who might be watching on Facebook, you are also welcome to join us in Zoom. Our technical team is going to put the link in the Facebook comments, and you can just click there on that link to come directly into the Zoom meeting. Once you enter, you just need to rename yourself, and then you can type the room number that you would like to go to in the Zoom chat. So there you go. Now, it's a little bit past 3:30 and we're running slightly behind time, but to ensure that we do have sufficient time for the discussions in the breakouts, we're going to extend the sessions until 4 p.m. Bangkok time. So enjoy the discussions, have a fruitful one, and see you back here in the main room at 4 p.m. And before we move to the closing section of the ceremony, we have one more very special reveal for you. I would now like to show you all together your 21 awardees for 2021. And there they are up on your screens. Congratulations once again. A big round of applause. The ceremony today has been engaging. It's been so insightful and definitely inspiring. While we still have all of you with us, we would like to ask one short question. We're going to be using Menti again. So if you can scan that QR code that's up on your screen, or you might want to choose to go to menti.com, enter the code that's there on your screen as well, and that's 74519523. And if you're all ready, the question is, what is your one key takeaway or learning of the event today? So do lock in your responses. Once again, we've got this quick Menti question, and we'll have the results pop up on your screen. So we'll give you a little bit of time to do that. What is your one key takeaway or learning of the event today? And we are seeing some results up there on the screen. Thank you very much for taking part in this. And there you go. Never give up. I like that one. Collaboration is key. Speak up. Yes. Let our voices be heard. Women power. That one's a good one too. Everybody must get involved. Collaboration and youth voices for the future. Yes, the youth will definitely be key in a brighter future for us all. Carry on. Creative thinking. Speak up. Thank you very much for all your responses, for taking part in that. And we have one final request of you before we close today. We value so much any further feedback you may have about today's ceremony. And we also ask that you spare 5 minutes, please, to take our post-event survey by scanning this QR code on your screen or clicking the link in the chat to go to SurveyMonkey. And thank you in advance for that. With that, we would like to extend a final expression of gratitude to everyone who joined us, not only just today, but throughout the past 10 months of this process. To the European Union, Investing in Women, and DFAT, our distinguished speakers, the judging panel, all the WEPs Awards applicants, the awardees, our UN Women colleagues, and all of you joining on Zoom, heartfelt thanks. And this brings us to the official closing of the UN Women 2021 Asia-Pacific WEPs Award. Thank you once again for your participation. May you all stay safe, healthy, and happy during these times. And we hope to see you again next year. And that's it for me. I'm Pachari Raksa Wong. It has been an absolute honor, pleasure. Hope to see you again soon. Sawasdee ka.